GERO 200, what's up? It's Sunday, March 3rd, 2024, and you guys are all pretty much done with your midterms, so hallelujah, way to go, guys. And it wasn't that hard, was it? It was kind of easy, in fact, super awesome. So we're going to be going into what I believe is week 9, which is hard to even roll off my lips right now. Just want to, it's like work. This course is work, just like someday you'll have a job and it's work, okay? And so we're looking here at the next thing that is rolling out. So you guys just got done with your first midterm, okay? Due today, March 3rd. And then we see the other thing you got to calendar up is your second critical thinking assignment, okay? And that's April 1st, all right? So that's just something that you have to project down the line, okay? Awesome. Alrighty, so let's go into our weekly assignments. Let's do this here. Okay. Just wanted to, kind of review a little bit. We all realize that, we had this dynamic that's happening mostly in developed countries, but right on our coattails are the developing countries. They're not really well prepared. And so this is why all your guys' training will be really, really helpful at the community level, helping out countries all around the world. And then maybe at the pocketbook level, if you guys get trained up well in this area, you'll be sought out as consultants, and government agencies will pay you big dollars to help them get through this, all right? We kind of reviewed, bits and pieces about, some of the big issues that are happening. When we go over the biological aspects, we understood that some of the major diseases that are associated with the aging process. These diseases are very costly. So these are what are called chronic diseases of aging, and so they tend to have to be treated for 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 years, and there's a significant cost associated with that. We have limited capacity with our health insurance. A lot of people don't have long-term care insurance. There's a lot of out-of-pocket costs associated with this, and then separate from all the health issues, there's just the cost of living that is getting harder and harder, especially in our urban centers. And so we then launched into this part right here. We talked about caregiving. It's worth reviewing again, just how we stack up in here in our country. As we scroll down here, in terms of the cost of caregiving, we already know that there's going to be fewer and fewer shoulders of which that burden is being placed upon, okay? That's what you guys, as Gen Zers, are going to have to contend with. And then we come over here and we just look at the governments, and our government, we are, basically a democracy, okay? Where we are very individualistic in terms of our economy, and so you're kind of on your own, all right? We're capitalists, okay? We're a capitalistic society. People that make a lot of money win, and people that don't, you lose, and you're on your own. And we see here that our government does not support us a whole lot in terms of this future, and there's this ongoing battle and dynamic about. We're going to go over the entitlement programs. We're entitled to this. We worked our whole lives, and we want health care, and we want Social Security. Social Security that will cover the cost of living, which it doesn't. That is below poverty level, and that's what we're stacked up against. And so, and we're going to get into that as we dive deeper and deeper into this kind of economic of society. We can look at big picture, also the well-being of the individual economies worldwide, of the governments worldwide, by kind of looking at the fallout of having so many more dependents, so many people that when this shift in dependency being really more older people. There's a big burden associated with this. It's harder and harder for you guys to make a living, so you're delaying or foregoing reproduction. And then what does that do in terms of the gross domestic product, okay? The financial output of the countries. If it starts to decline, how are we going to pay for these services? And again, in our country, we're not paying very much compared to like a Denmark, all right? All right, so that's kind of the background on all this. And so what we have is a relatively short paper The first part is just review of what you already know about. Here's a couple of examples in this article about how individual aging is and how individually some people do well and some people do really poorly, okay? And then we'll tap into that also in our discussion. So let's just go straight up into, excuse me, the reading assignment. Like I said, it's a pretty straightforward reading assignment. It's not very long. I like to use the scroll bar, so we'll go right over here. And so this is looking at the economic and social implications of aging. And so this is, in some sense, very, very much so a review, okay? We see a number of countries are considering their pension and healthcare provisions, okay? Which in some countries, it's like 40% of their spending, okay? Which is a lot, okay? These countries tend to have also a lot more taxation that will ensure that you can support these entitlement programs. Again, these are the Danish countries, the Nordic countries. They tend to be much more, altruistic is the word I'm looking for. But you have to pay on the front end in order for the back end to pay out. Okay. All righty, and so it goes through the dynamics and the shift in the age groups, with your guys being burdened with 21% of the population looking at you to finance their well-being. Okay, and that's a combination of both your children and, let's say, your parents. Okay, and so we can see this transition the way age distribution. Females, more women on this side, more males on this side when you get to be older, okay? And we see that we guys go 20 to 50, instead of having all these younger people down here, a lot more working age public, we see that it's the distribution, there's a lot more people out here in the retirement age group, okay? We already talked about it. We have falling fertility. For you guys, remember you should have maybe 3 kids right now and you don't. And it's just because of the economics of living in the modern developed world, is you got to get trained in order to make a reasonable living, in order to get a job that's going to be able to pay for all the services that you want and just the lifestyle that you want, okay? We combine that with falling mortality. So we've gotten rid of, we took a little hit with infectious disease, and then what did we do? We stopped it in its tracks with vaccinations, and that was COVID, okay? And so what we're doing is we're getting rid of all the things that we used to cause us to die earlier, okay? If you do get diabetes in middle age, we can work on that. We can work on the kidney disease and failure that happens from diabetes. We can work on vascular disease. There's so many different interventions. And then we can, get you out there so that you can have a relatively disease-free life. There's a lot of lifestyle information that's coming out, and so that's a big push, okay, in terms of taking on a much more healthy approach to living, and that unto itself makes for many longer years where we could potentially work, and we'll talk about that. So we have less fertility, less mortality, implications, people live longer, okay? And when people live longer, okay, then as we see right in here, we have, big changes in terms of the economic well-being, okay? Changes in terms of our labor market. If we don't keep putting young people in, then who's going to be able to man our McDonald's? Who's going to, pick the peaches from the peach farms in Georgia? On and on and on. That tends to be a younger labor market then you graduate out and you do something else. But we kept, fixing that, okay? And so we'll see later on. The only solution is selective immigration, and it's a big political hotbed right now. So yeah, we're going to see, a decline in economies, potentially, if you don't figure this out, okay? We have to finance our public welfare programs. We have to finance Social Security. We have to finance Medicare. We have to finance Medicaid for the people that are below the poverty level. And, there's more and more, we'll see later on in the older community that's who they are. And we have fewer and fewer people to paying into the system, as we saw from the reduction in the caregiving ratio, all right? So we start seeing this big deficit in terms of our labor market. Okay, you know, we see the years in which we're productive. Okay, we may be living longer, but we're still all looking to retire out. I think I remember looking at the median retirement age in the U.S. It had just increased to 62 from 55 10 years ago, and you know, that's crazy to think about, you know, because people are living more consistently, you know, the median being 80, 70, 78, I mean, approaching 80, but so many people are living a much longer life, and they're not producing, they're not contributing to our gross domestic product, okay? They are consumers, okay, which is a subtraction, okay? And so that's a big deal, okay? So there's going to be big, what they call macroeconomic effects, where you're looking at big, giant scope community effects. We can look here in Southern California, United States, and then each country individually. And so we see a decline in the proportion of younger people in the population. This leads to a reduction in economic activity, okay? Because you guys are workers that are producing, okay? Whereas an increase in the proportion of older people is perceived as an economic burden, okay? So why is that? I want my Social Security, okay? In countries all across the world, they get a guaranteed pension that is pretty lucrative. And so there's been a lot of ongoing political unrest in Germany, in France, about, hey, we need to raise the age for these pensions. And people are like, no, I don't want to, but they're not being realistic, okay? And then there's the cost of healthcare, which is enormous, you know? I had my total knee replacement. You know, how much was that? $100,000, you know? Julia's cancer treatment, $300,000 to $400,000. And so this is all consumption. This is money going out, okay? How do we increase productivity? So that's, you know, again, what this is all about. We got to address this demographic deficit, where we have a lot more older people that need to pay for services and far fewer younger people to get it done. All right. So one approach is immigration. Like I said, you know, I mean, you guys don't want to be working at McDonald's the rest of your life, right? Maybe you do, you know, probably you don't. You know, maybe you don't want to be the guy that is doing all the demo work in terms of the housing market. You know, that's pretty low level, okay? And we don't have enough young people, even uneducated U.S. citizens, to do that. We need to increase immigration for this targeted labor market, okay? That's problem one. Problem two, all right, we need to finance and reconfigure our health and long-term care provisions, okay? So there's been a lot of push on this, you know? Maybe make it means-based, you know? Maybe, you know, somebody like an Elon Musk, when he retires, or Donald Trump, who's in that retirement age, if he were to pay for a Medicare, maybe it's means-based. Maybe he pays a lot more based on his economic well-being, okay? So this is, you know, all things that have to be thought about, all right? So again, this is this deficit of fewer and fewer workers, more and more people that are consumers, that are an economic burden, okay? Remember, these are the groups of countries that are part, all of them. There were 27 of them that were developed countries, or I think it's, let me go back, what is the Organization of Economic and Cooperative Development, or something like that, okay? I should know it, but I don't remember it. So, all right, so what are we gonna do, okay? We gotta improve our childbearing. So we gotta create incentives, you know? I showed you in the previous segment last week that we were like at the bottom of the barrel in providing childcare. One way to get people to increase the number of children we can have in our country is to create a lot more economic incentive to get it done, all right? We got to provide financing, tax benefits that will finance childcare. We got to improve the government support for childcare. Okay, South Korea's, as we saw, they're racing ahead in terms of this demographic deficit of too many old people, not enough laborers in the market. So what they've been doing is, irrespective of who you are, they've been offering up. If you have a child, you're going to get 40 grand. So there's an economic incentive right there, and then also childcare support. Okay. Alrighty, the other thing that happened is we're pushing back when we're going to dole out Social Security. That's what France was doing in terms of their pension system. People are going to have to work longer, and that's tough. That's tough to stay competitive. We have to have wellness initiatives, okay, so that we don't have extended periods of ill health, okay. So we need to get people to stay healthy, so they're not tapping into healthcare costs, and we need to get them working longer, and that's what this is all this. So we got to address the health and social care challenges. Okay, so we see right here, this is just looking at life expectancy. It's a expectancy at birth and the healthy life expectancy at birth right here. And so high income people have a lot longer healthy life expectancy. My dogs are barking. I don't care. All right. So we got to address this social change. Okay. We got to change family structures. One of the most important things that we got to kind of wrap our head around here is, as much as possible, older generations need to help finance this. Okay. So we are capitalistic. Okay. Yes, it would be great if the governments would kick in, and especially for low income, and maybe the government could create incentives for people like myself to better finance my children, beyond, say, the Affordable Care Act, that at least we were able to increase the period of time when you guys were covered from, yes, you used to get kicked off your parents' insurance plans at 18, now you're up there to all the way till 26. So that's a step in the right direction. Okay. All righty. Delaying life transitions. All right. We got to work longer. Okay. That's the bottom line there. And we have to have this kind of intergenerational fairness. Okay. Create a situation where it's much easier for me to throw money at my kids. All right. In terms of the taxing that goes on. And then also, I think I know some of you guys are Marshall majors and doing a real estate development. You got to wrap your head around making multi-generational communities and households. That'll make it a lot more easier to do this caregiving. Okay, so you could have this communal-based caregiving. It's old school. We'll be doing things like it are done in places like Okinawa, Japan. Nosara, Costa Rica was a place I'd go down with my class. Sardinia, Italy, all these blue zones, they have really more community-based caregiving. All right, so that's all what that's all about. Okay, and that's what the quiz is all about. In here, okay, this is a great article of individual consequences. Okay, in terms of aging. Okay, so NPR article from 2019, and it goes over, a couple of examples. Okay, so this guy Bob Orozco, 89, he had a great job. Okay, had a great 401k. Okay, he doesn't have to worry. Okay, so much, so he's able to actually get an employment that is fulfilling, and so he works at his local YMCA, gets paid minimum wage. He does it for the love of it, to improve fitness. And so Bob's got a great story when you look at it. Alrighty, and we could scroll down here to the next group of people. Okay, and these are people that did not have the luxury of having, and we're going to talk about this. You guys all have to set yourselves up in terms of having adequate finances to finance your older years. You're not going to go away. Okay, and so we're going to talk about investing in your 401ks, setting up brokerage accounts if you're not into that yet. At the same time, while you're working, you're going to do your ARVAs and your Roth ARVAs. We're going to talk about this. Maybe doing, take some risks and get into housing, buy a McDonald's. Okay. Anyways, All right, so here's a sad example. So 65 years old, Kylie Cohen, okay? She had off and on work, okay, working for, in Hollywood, TV copywriter, then she was a librarian. She was, it makes it much harder economically. We've seen that time and time again in this course. If you are a single mom, okay? And so she's relying on Social Security and food stamps, okay? Luckily, she found a government subsidized home, okay? It's a senior arts colony in Long Beach, California. But when you scroll down here, okay, 79% of her Social Security is spent on rent, okay, which leaves, and wrap your head around this, guys, $245 a month for everything else. So she pays for her rent, and then every month that's $245, okay? For you guys, that's like a couple of weeks of Starbucks, okay? I mean, it's really, really sad, you know, what a lot of people have to go through, okay? This is another person right here, Veronica Bryant. Same drill. She lives in the same community, okay? Has the same problems, okay? And it all is, you know, it all is linked to, you know, their employment history, okay? So, and then you could look at somebody like this, going back just like our friend Bob Orozco up here, okay? Same drill as him. Has a great situation where, you know, he had a 401k. She was a public employee. Okay, what kind of public employee was she? This is Carrie Eagles. She was a teacher. All right, so she has a pension for her entire life, and it gives her the luxury then of going out and giving back to the community. Okay, so you really, really, really got to think about, you know, where you're going to be headed in terms of preparation. So this is a big kind of business economics kind of perspective. And we, you know, hopefully some of you guys will get involved. You're going to vote, you're going to get involved and go work in Sacramento, Washington, D.C., and start wrapping our heads around this issue. There's lots of issues in our country, but this is a big one, okay? So, yeah, we're supposed to stay competitive, right, as we get older. This was a video from a while back, okay, and is when we had our recession, 2008 and 9, and so many people were put out of work, and especially older people, and how their health declined, okay, so accelerated aging, okay. And then what happens is you're not competitive and people struggle to find work, okay? And this repeats itself over and over again, all right? Then we come down here. This is an amazing video. If you're not going to watch, these are both very short videos. The third video, there's no reading for this discussion. The third video down here is a new one. It's looking forward to retirement is a thing of the past, okay? And it talks about how pensions are disappearing, okay? Not only in our country, but in countries all around the world. Social Security, okay, that is not even poverty level. You know, you got to understand that the average person in our country, when they look at their Social Security check on a monthly basis, might be somewhere between $1,100 and $1,200 a month. Okay, that's nothing. That is nothing. Okay, and so it talks a lot about homeless people, and they refer to, if you haven't seen No Man's Land, it's an amazing movie. It was an Academy Award-winning movie talking about homelessness in our country. And they refer to a study done in our country, so definitely watch this video. It's under 10 minutes, I think it's about 7-8 minutes. 40% Americans, when they retire, are going to be at or below the poverty level. So that's a big deal. That is a big deal. All right. So we want you to kind of look through all this, okay, and then comment on it and come up with solutions and things like that. Okay, my friends. All righty. Hopefully you're enjoying the class. It's raining kind of hard this morning. It's looking better. I know you got spring break on the mind. It's coming down the pike, about a week away. All right. So stay safe, stay up with everything, and do well. Peace.